Honorable Ato Forson is MP for Ejumako, Enyan, Esiam, and he's also the Minister for Finance. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Bernard.
You still look fresh after reading 1 hour 49-minute speech.
Thank you.
It's not difficult. It didn't sound. It was how tough is it standing there reading a PowerPoint to the nation?
I think I'm used to it,
Okay.
and I've been doing it for some time now. And I've been MP for 17 years already.
Yeah. Hey, 17 years.
So, yes, I've been in the system for long.
So you're MP in your early 30s?
Yes, at 30 years I was an MP.
Wow. I couldn't help but notice the coincidence between you're reading the budget and Mill's memorial, and you paragraph 4 you pay tribute to. I suspect he's your political. He discovered you, right?
Yes, and Professor Mills is also from my constituency.
Oh, not a Kumfi.
Part from a Kumfi and part from a.
So his father is from your constituency.
His father from Enyan Dentra. In my constituency, so he's.
Oh, he must. I'm sure
he
he
was
been proud watching you on stage.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you.
Amazing stuff. Now, the midterm budget is never a big deal, and this year because you didn't even ask for any more money. It's almost like supposed to be low key, but you managed to make it a big deal with the way you presented it, and also with some of the punchlines you gave at the end. So, what is the idea of the midterm budget, and why is it important?
Okay, so first. Until 2016, media reviews are the discretion of the Minister of Finance. And sometimes it is the period for the ministers to seek for additional resources where necessary. Then in 2016, my former boss, the Honorable Setepe, decided to incorporate it as part of the PFM Act, and to make it mandatory for ministers of finance to update the nation in the course of the year, performance year to date, and to be able to make some revisions where possible. And if there's the need for us to introduce new policies, you do so. So it has become part of government architecture since 2016 in the Public Financial Management Act. And since then, it has always been.
From a media side, what we look out for is whether you ask for any more money. But to the extent that you didn't ask for any more money, what is the most important thing you wanted to say yesterday?
Okay, so President Mahama took office in about 200 days.
Yeah.
We presented our first budget in March. I went to the ministry late January. And so ahead of the budget, we have already begun the implementation of our key policies. The budget announced that, and then we went ahead and implemented it. We couldn't have, at the time, for example, finish most of our first year things we needed to do, because we had very little time. I had to prepare the budget in the space of 4 weeks to 6 weeks since I got to the ministry. And so in preparing the budget, we came out with a number of policies. First, to stem the decline, and 2, to reset the country, and most importantly, announce policies that will bring down inflation and stabilize the currency. So that was the foundation of the 2025 budget. In doing so, there were some items like the big push that I announced them, but I did not give specifics.
Okay.
So I showed a line that we have allocated X amount of big push, but I'll come back because you needed to do more work to know exactly what you are spending the money on.
Correct.
And so I held on, and I knew I was going to come back after preparation. And so this was an opportunity for me to give indication where we are going to go.
Okay.
And clearly, the president had to make a decision. And remember, this is his budget, so he has to give an indication where he wanted to spend.
Okay.
So apart from an update, we needed to introduce a number of things. And you can't also assume that after going to office January, February, March, you will know almost everything that you have inherited. So you know some, but some certainly you will not be able to know. And so it is also because of the experience some of us we've had over the years. I was a ranking member for 7 years. I was a minority leader for 2 years. And so clearly I had some understanding of what the situation is. But I was amazed to see the detail. The details and the details will keep unfolding day in, day out. But you have a job to do.
So are you saying that things were much worse than you originally thought in terms of what you inherited?
100%.
Give me some examples.
100%. So first of all, I had always had an impression that the IMF program, for example, was actually on track. Only for us to go to the ministry and realize that the program was not on track. Because the fund, you remember, the IMF needed to seek what you call the political assurance from us, from the opposition, anytime the program is leading into an election. They did the same with MPP in 2016. So they seek political assurance from us. And in the process, we had to engage them. Because I can't just give assurance without knowing what the situation.
So the IMF team met you whilst you were in opposition?
Yes. Just like they did for MPP also in 2016. So they met us and they needed, it was a prior action before they go to the board for the fourth review. No, the third review. So they met with us and we did our presentation. We brought our risk. We talked about issues that we were concerned about, the direction of the country and what they should ask, what they should be looking for. They gave us an impression, obviously, that things are okay and they're optimistic that there will not be any major slippage. We went into the ministry a few months later and saw the bombs. This one, big bombs coming in and signifying that we need to do a lot more heavy liftings in the year 2025.
You said in the budget that the program had deviated substantially from its target by close of 2024. But you didn't elaborate.
Okay.
So I want some evidence of that.
Okay. So, for example, the anchor, is what we call the fiscal, the primary surplus. Remember, this program that came into being when the country went through significant debt restructuring. Again, this particular IMF program is different from all the 17 other programs we have seen. It's unique in the sense that this is the only program that came with haircut. It's the only program that came with a haircut because IMF does not lend into an unsustainable situation. When your debt is unsustainable, they will not give you money. And it's a precondition that you have to undergo debt restructuring before you can get access to the ECF. And this is in the Articles of Association of the IMF. And no human being can change it. It's there. So knowing very well that our debt was unsustainable, we needed to go through that drastic debt restructuring even before, and government of Ghana had to take that lead. The fund will say that, okay, your debt is unsustainable. When you invite them in, they will come in and they take debt sustainability analysis with the World Bank. So the debt sustainability analysis that were conducted jointly by the World Bank and IMF revealed that Ghana's debt is unsustainable, and so we went through debt restructuring. Very significant debt restructuring. So pensioners and others, domestic, Eurobond holders, OCC and all had to go through that, the debt restructuring. So that was done. And so for us to get out of the debt trap, we needed to use the primary balance. Remember, the primary balance simple means that you are not accumulating debt over a period if it is surplus. Okay, if you are not accumulating debt, because it is the main driver of debt. And so if it is positive, then it means you are not accumulating debt. And the anchor is such that you need to do 1.5% surplus. In fact, during their time, they were supposed to do 0.5% surplus. What happened at the end of the year? Plus 0.5, we ended up minus 3.9.
You are talking end year 2024.
End year 2024. That's what I'm talking about.
You are saying that per the program agreement,
yes,
we should have ended 2024 with a
primary surplus of 0.5% of GDP. But they ended up doing.
And you didn't know this by March.
No, you won't. You can't
September
know. No. September I knew about. March I knew about it.
Okay, you knew.
Yes, so the IMF reported on it.
I see.
Everyone else. I even reported to Parliament.
Okay. So then you gave yourself a target of 0.4 for end of this year.
I gave myself a target of 1.5% surplus by end of 2025.
1.5.
But 1.5% by June, my target was to do 0.4
by June.
But I've done 1.1.
So you believe you're on course?
Yes.
So you're saying one of the main,
I've done 1.1 already.
One of the main evidences of your claim that the IMF program was significantly off track was the primary surplus target that they missed.
Correct.
Is that the only one?
No, there are a number of structural benchmarks. For example, linking GANEPS to GANEPS and GIFMIS. And many others. I do not have the data here. I would have taken you through all what they missed. At the last budget, I listed all the.
What worries me is that usually when the staff team comes, they would usually appraise the program. Correct. And I never heard Pierre Roudet say anywhere that there had been any targets missed.
Oh, they did. Can we go back to the IMF staff report?
Okay.
Yes.
Is this for third quarter 2024?
Oh, you can use the recent one. You can use the recent one. Yes. They've listed all what has been missed.
But my point is that they said it after the government had left. But when the government was in
power, when the government, they did not say that when the government was there. This is because, for example, the IMF will be coming to Ghana for faith review in September.
Yeah.
And they are going to use data as of June 2025 for assessment.
Okay.
So they will not be able to make comment on July, August, and September because they will not have the data.
So then you're saying that the targets missed were for the Q4
for the Q4
of 2024.
It is cumulative for the Q4. In the third review of which they made a disbursement in December, they used data as of June.
Okay.
June 2024. That's what they did. So they did not use the existing data. The current data. They used data as of June, so they could not make that kind of.
So beyond IMF, you listed a number of things that you believe, because we are still on the theme of what you found after having been in that office for like 6 months. You spoke about irresponsible spending, left arrears of about 67 billion, and contractor commitments of 194 billion. Now, the status of that is what? Because you said you were doing some audit. So I just want to tell us, what have you done about what you met?
Thank you.
67 billion arrears.
Thank you very much. Let me first say that, Bernard, Ghana's biggest problem has to do with the way we contract contract. I mean, I have never seen a country where every state agency can just award a contract without approval from the right place, normally from Ministry of Finance. It is basic PFM requirement, public financial management requirement. And this is your company, Bernard. You can't just award a contract. You need the MD to be aware, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need the MD will have to ask the accountant whether they have money or not, isn't it? Before you award a contract. But the cleaner is awarding a contract. The driver is awarding a contract. Everyone at all is awarding a contract.
On his own balance sheet?
On their own balance sheet. No, the balance sheet of the government, of the country. Of the company. That is Ghana's biggest fiscal problem and has always been. And that is why you notice that
different ministry, department, and agencies.
Oh yes,
can enter.
They were just awarding a contract without
which
without
has implications on.
And you know what happens? So they award a contract and send the bills to the Ministry of Finance to pay, whether they have money or not. And if the Ministry of Finance doesn't have the money to pay, they build arrests. They build interest on delayed payment.
And this has gone on for how long?
Oh,
this has been the practice.
It has been the practice. We cured it in the PFM Act in 2016.
You cured it?
Yes, Honorable Setepe introduced that as part of the PFM amendment, but it was never respected because, the PFM Act became law in August, September 2016 and was never implemented when MPP were in office, partially implemented. I mean, you couldn't, it was not really, and it looks like because they didn't, it wasn't like their baby, the understanding was also not there in terms of what you should do.
In the 8 years, the idea that the finance ministry should be the final approver of contracts that have debt implications was never respected?
Some places, some ministry, and I say this for, let me single out one particular ministry, the Works and Housing Ministry under the previous NPP. You could see always asking for commencement authorization before contract is awarded, and I give that to them. If it is one particular ministry that respected that particular rule, it was the Works and Housing Ministry. But aside that Works and Housing Ministry, Ministry of Roads were the biggest corporate.
Wow.
Awarding contract with blatant disregard to the laws of Ghana. And you could see that contracts were awarded and scattered all over the country. And so the roads were never completed because sometimes they tell the contractor, go and work, we will do the contract. And so we ended up paying 5-6 times the cost of every kilometer of road that we construct. Simple because we award the contract with our money. The contractor get there, no work is done. Sometimes they do surface dressing, first coat. They don't get money to do the second, and then it will wash away. Then they will come and spend additional money, and it was so haphazard. And government of Ghana was paying, as we speak, we have, the minister tells me that there's almost about 20 billion cedis interest on delayed payment that the contractors are expecting the government to pay.
20 billion
cedis.
So let's separate two things. You mentioned arrears of 67 billion and then contract commitments of 194. Of the 67, I'm told about 20 something billion
yes.
is roads.
So of the 67, 22 billion cedis
is roads.
Happens to be road. The Auditor General has validated about 23 billion, and he said 27 billion is waiting for further validation, and he has rejected about 3.5 billion cedis.
So you won't pay?
No, the Auditor General says that don't even try to pay.
Will the 194 billion contract commitments also be audited?
Yes, he's auditing that as we speak because we need to understand whether there's the need for us to continue with these contracts at all, and whether they are legitimate contracts, whether they have commencement authorization, and if they do, how do we plan to absorb them going forward into the medium term? This is critical because, this will feed into expenditure because I've committed you to do some work for me. And if, for example, you decide to do all the 197 billion cedis contract this year, it means I have to provision to pay, isn't it? And if I'm not able to provision to pay that amount, it may attract interest, isn't it? And so after the audit, I should be able to know that I have 197 billion, or let's say 180 billion cedis worth of contracts. I should be able to sit with the contractors to say that, okay, can you pace it? For example, can you do 20 billion worth of work today? Then tomorrow you do another 10 billion worth of work. And in the period, I'll be able to also look for revenue and pay. Because, for example, if they all end up 197 billion invoiced sent to Ministry of Finance, I may have to go and borrow 197 billion. And borrowing 197 billion will mean that I'm also adding to the public debt. I may be borrowing from domestic sources. So what will happen? I'll crowd out the private sector and many others.
So beyond the auditing,
so you need to know exactly
beyond the
what
auditing
you're
of
going to do.
these numbers in terms of arrears and contracts, you're saying that no ministry, department, or agency can enter a contract of any kind.
Okay, so
what type of contract?
So we've amended the public, the Public Procurement Act, to say that if you are to award a contract as part of your budget, you need commencement authorization.
Okay.
And this time the liability is not on the ministers, but it's on the procurement entities. So if you are, let's say, Public Procurement Authority, and you grant approval for contract without commencement authorization, you are the one who have committed a crime and not the minister.
Last point, the president said last week during his thank you tour that he believes some contractors had been paid from the road fund and yet had found ways to also be paid by the Ministry of Finance.
Correct.
And that those people will be found out. Is that something that came from this audit of the 67 billion, or is it a different thing he's talking about?
Part of it is okay. So some of the things we've picked up at the Ministry of Finance is the fact that we've seen a number of recycled invoices. And some came from the Ministry of Road. The Minister of Road himself informed us that he's picked this up, and so we should investigate those ones. I mean, sadly, we were processing expenditures outside the government system, and so it was very difficult for you to, at a glance, be able to say that Avler Company Limited, for example, road contractor, has, for example, done X work, we've paid X, and then this is what is left. And that is what you should be able to see with a proper accounting system. But when you process those expenditures on an Excel sheet and pay that contractor, how will you be able to know that this contractor has been paid or not been paid? And so they recycle the invoice. Another anomaly that I've seen is that maybe I'm using a lesser word, anomaly. But let me say that, why should Road Fund, for example, award a contract of which this contract is expected to be paid by the Road Fund? But in the end, Ministry of Finance pay for it. And when Ministry of Finance pays, Ministry of Finance fails to inform the Road Fund that we have paid. So that contract, that same certificate can be recycled and Road Fund can be paid. And this is what we've seen across. For example, ECG, they do some work. Ministry of Finance is not supposed to be paying ECG's invoices work they have awarded. But for some interesting reason, these invoices came to Ministry of Finance and they've paid. And if they've paid, have you informed ECG that I've paid your debt? And you never know, an accountant may change. Somebody may change there.
And
the
then
same person
pay the
can
amount.
send the invoice and process it.
Wow.
So these are the anomalies.
So for you, the most
And so-
significant decision you've taken since you came back was the amendment of this 2016 PFM to insist that the Ministry of Finance becomes the final authority for contract awards.
Because if you want me to pay, I should know what you are awarding.
Fair enough. The energy sector, you said, was bleeding with $1.5 billion in financing shortfalls. The Auditor General last week also said to us that about 80% of the financial irregularities and infractions within the public sector were from the energy sector.
That's sad.
So, this 1.5 billion, what have you done about it? Or what are you going to do about it?
So we have the energy sector shortfalls, and the government will have to find a way to fund that. Otherwise, the repercussion will be that we'll have some disruptions in power. In the budget, we programmed 28 billion cedis. That 28 billion cedis, 27 billion cedis has gone up by 2.9 billion. So we are now talking about 29.9 billion cedis going to that sector alone. Obviously, because of the inefficiencies we are seeing in the sector. The minister is doing everything possible to clamp down on these inefficiencies, but it will take some time. He can't simply do that within weeks. Some are so systemic that it requires comprehensive reforms, and these reforms will need some time. But in the meantime, you need to look for money and fund it. We are funding it. What we are saying is that this 28 billion could be used to provide essential social service to the state. But why are we spending this money on things that we shouldn't have spent on? So we will work to resolve some of these challenges going forward, but there's more work to be done.